Good evening, everyone. I am going live to see what we can do. I'm just looking to give back to the community and noticed I've been sitting around 9,700 followers. So I'd like to get on here and just see if anyone's willing to help me grow. Most of you are already fans, but I appreciate those who got on here and I look forward to seeing what happens. I plan to just banter a little bit, talk a little bit, see what's going on, and see what happens. How's it going, Outlaw 11? Glad that you could join us this evening, and happy Sunday to you. Any topics you'd like me to discuss while I'm sitting on here bantering? See here what we can do. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see here. Do. Let's put some light on the situation. There we go. This has been fun. Do. Happy to cover that with you. So we can talk about that for a little bit while we're on here. The SANS Institute has a great program. Depending on which way you go, they keep changing their classes. But yes, the on-demand platform. So the on-demand platform is actually kind of fun. Here, while we're waiting, I'll just show you something you can do if you haven't yet. Get pretty comfortable with it. SANS Preview. You can come out here and demo most of their classes. So if you're interested in a certain class, you can click on it, log in, and you can actually get about 30 minutes of the class. So you get very comfortable with the on-demand platform, what the player looks like, how it interacts, and that's a great opportunity to learn. The bachelor's program is very similar to what a college class would be like if you took virtual classes. You're going to have about 3 months to complete your class. And then once you take your certification based on your scoring is the grade you get. Once you get through it, if I remember correctly, in the bachelor's, I work more with the master's students for my faculty research advisor on the EDU side, but there's a faculty advisor who's there to help you. You have the writing tutor, at least in the grad program, you have access to Grammarly for your papers that you're writing. But it's very similar, to any online platform. You'll have the recordings. You can speed it up, slow it down. You can go out of order, which is what I like about the on-demand platform. I've taken a majority of my certifications via on-demand. I've only attended a couple in person or done live online for my certifications because I like the self-pace. I like the ability to jump around, study what I want, slow them down, speed them up. Some instructors are good at 1.25, some are better at 1.5, and it allows you to go through it. And you can always just restart or roll back 10 seconds, which you don't have when you're in a live class. The drawback is you have to be motivated, you have to focus on it, but again, it's pretty easy. For the SAN certifications, there's plenty of different indexing capabilities you can do. Reach out. I can share indexing tricks. Most of the time, you just want to do book, topic, notes, and then alphabetize it, sort it so you can easily find it on the exam. Depending on the different GX, you get about a minute to minute and a half per question. And more adding the Cyber Live component, which allows you to do multiple choice. And then at the end, they give you several VM-based browser challenges. So you would open a virtual machine on a browser tab and perform a lab-based activity. So for example, in 301, you would do like a Hydro or John the Ripper attempt. I don't remember off the top of my head if that's the actual utility, but it's password cracking. Or you'll run a hash to get the hash value, or you'll have to decrypt a 64-bit encryption, just ways to do it via command line. And then you answer the question. So there's live online practical questions, hands-on experiences for those. But best of luck. Let me know if you get in. Happy to help you any way possible, and can make introductions as need fit to the community. They have a strong Slack community, so once you get in, you can ask questions to fellow colleagues inside of the Slack community as well. But best of luck there to you. Do you have any Sands Challenge coins? Yes, I actually have a few different ones over here. So this is the management 551 coin before it went to LDR. Can't get it on the screen very well, but yes, I've got a few coins. I love the coin process. I think I have, let's see what other ones do I have. I have the LDR 521 coin as well. Pretty sweet looking coin. Again, it's not showing up very well on the camera, but yes, I like their coins. And I just completed another challenge coin, so I should get that here soon. I probably need to submit the paperwork. as part of this. Let's see if I can find it and show it. Sands. So I will get, let's see here, where's it at? Yeah, so I'll get the Cyber Risk Advisor Challenge coin because I've completed 512. I just completed 519 and I completed 553 last year. So I just need to figure out how to submit for this coin. But here's all the people who've got the transformational coins. Hey, I'll be the second person here. So but yes, coins are important. Coins are fun. I like them. I'd like to get a few more coins. But fun stuff. Good to go. So yeah, feel free to ask any other topics. Happy to share, happy to cover things as we're literally just here bantering tonight, looking to add more followers to my channel as I've been sitting around 9,700 for a while. But at the same point, I'm happy to talk. For those who followed me for any length of time, you know that I like GRC, I like cyber defense as well as cyber leader classes. So at the same point in time, I'm looking to add more to my belt. Mentorship is important to me. Finding value and adding value is why I'm in this field. Additionally, and we're looking to see what happens next. Still sitting at 97.31. Likely not going to move the needle. But either way, I'm happy to sit here for another hour or so, answer questions as people pop in. So please post questions. Happy to pull up resources as well and go through those. Let's see what Mr. Cribbs is up to today. You can see the big techs mix in the Treasury sanctions. Senator, FBI week advice. Good stuff here. Let's look at this a little more closely here. So what do we got? How malicious ad tech works. The victim and the affiliates using their network. Good stuff. Welcome, everyone. As we are here just to banter tonight, if you've got questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer questions. But as I alluded in my cross post, I am looking for followers, but at the same time, I'm willing to cover. Our first topic was challenge coins. Just looking to see what's up with creds, looking inside the dark ad tech empire, fed by fake captchas, more and more capture issues. Also, for those out in Texas, thoughts and prayers with you for the rainstorm that's caused your flash flooding. Hopefully, everyone is safe. Reminds me a lot of what happened here in the Carolinas with Hurricane Helene when it came through and destroyed our mountains and all the areas around it. So please hope you're safe. If I've got anyone from Texas, know anyone in Texas, friends and family, please reach out to them and check on them, as it is important to make sure that we take care of our loved ones and our friends. But great question so far from Outlaw. Anyone else, feel free to drop something in the chat, as I plan to sit here and just banter for the next hour or so. Great question here. So, tips on certs that employers are looking for more than others. So, the GSOC is your entry-level security operations. John Hubbard has done great with getting the fundamentals class up and running. So, for those who want to know, that's the SANS Sec 450 class. He just did an entire talk on it inside of the cyber leadership, but it covers a lot of different materials, from security data collection, automation, security process triage, anything that you would want if you're inside of the SOC. From a vulnerability and GRC point of view, I've already alluded, I am big on the LDR section. So LDR 516 is the TVM class. Whoops. Helps if I put the L in there. Again, you probably see me typing. If you ever want the shortcuts to any of the classes, it's just sans.org and then their handle. So the three letters, 3 numbers. But great class. I know both of these authors very well. And then I've taken Sec 566, which is the GCCC. CIS controls is amazing. It's good to understand. And I just went through, as I said, 519, which is the class that'll give me my last SANS, or give me my latest coin, which is this guy right here, which is the risk management and compliance. There's also a 419 class. This does not have a certification. It's just a class. Between you and I, wait until there is a cert. They may add it in the future, but if not, it's still a great class to go through. From a hiring manager point of view, I recognize anything from ISC2. I've looked at EC certs, SANS certs, TCM. The problem it comes to is your HR people teams may not recognize GSOC, GCFA, GCC very well unless they're technical recruiters and gone out. So at the end of the day, it comes back to the standard ones we're used to. Your OSCP for offensive, your CISSP. CC is starting to get some traction with human resources as well as cloud certifications. Your biggest thing there is just outline them on your LinkedIn page and then include them on your resume. They're not going to be listed in job descriptions right now unless they're posted on the SANS portal or other places where you would get the SANS Internet Storm. They do have a job posting where you can actually see people who are looking for specific, and then they list out the certifications under there. So if you come out to the Storm Center, you can look for jobs here. And you'll find GX specific jobs. But if we shrink this back down. You can see staff incident, principal network, principal cloud, SCADA, ICS, as well as cloud security managers, and then what certs they're actually looking for. Great question. Any other questions or comments from our audience here today? Apologize for the poor lighting. I just turned on my desk lamp because I'm sitting in the dark. I feel like staying out from underneath the light tonight. This is a great little graphic. Let's take a look at it. Natting. Leave it up for a little bit, but I like the breaking down between your internal and your external. We know that network address translation is important because there's not enough IPv4 address to all connected devices that we have internal to actually be routed to the internet. So for those who are new to NAT, the reason I'm pulling this up is I think it's important. As you can see, it's the network address translation. It's what takes your internal addresses, your 192, your 10, your 172, 170. Drawing a blank on the 170. And then you map it to a public IP, depending on Class A, Class B, or Class C addressing. But you can see from the graphic, you have your internal I192.168 addresses on a /24 network, meaning that's the subnet which it's on. And you can see the source test that's going on, as well as the source test for the packet when it comes back from the file server over here, back to the public IP. Additionally, this is your socket or your port in which it's coming across, which allows you to see where it's going. Again, very helpful to understand why we have routers with network addressing on them. Just a quick introduction to that one. Well, back to the channel. Slow takers on a Sunday night, but at the same time, most of my followers are probably spending time with friends and family to wrap up the holiday weekend here in the US, as it was just the 4th of July. Great question. So for those who are watching the replay, the hype around cyber influencers. Cyber influences, you can accuse me of being in the same boat, but the reason I'm here is just to give knowledge cheaply and freely. But I believe it has hurt us in some aspect because you have people producing content who have never practiced, never done anything, and they're out there just to make money. So they're trying to produce videos and content that may not be 100% correct. So on the flip side, it's drawn more attention to cyber. On the bad side, it's educating folks incorrectly on people, process, and technology. Not as much on the people side, but on process and technology. They're falsely telling you how to use, for example, Wireshark, the importance of certain, as we talked about just briefly ago, why NAT is or is not correct, how it works and does not work. So I think there's positive and negative to everyone when you add influencer to them. I think there are some out there who are legitimately doing it to give back, while others are out there just to make money for themselves. Which at the end of the day, we all need to bring home money to provide for our family. But at the end of the day, I don't think we should be scamming people out of knowledge by falsely providing quick, incomplete is the best way, videos and content that's not finished. If I ever do that, I want my friends, my colleagues to call me out because I'm not really trying to do that. Even though you can call me out right now, as I've started a session to try to grow my followers, but I'm just trying to get to a round number as it's been at 9,700 and dropping a little bit, but that's probably just inactive accounts. So I'll let this one hit me. Great question. All comes back to motives. Yes, I do not want to brag, and I'm trying to provide just insight. So I appreciate that, Outlaw. As I continue to share, I want people to learn from my mistakes as well as from my time in the trenches, learning different things across many different industries. So I appreciate the kind words. Welcome, everyone. Feel free to ask questions as we are going through. I've been checking on what crabs. We've walked through job boards that SANS has. I was looking at some of the hacker news, answering questions, as I'm here tonight just to continue to share, hang out with you guys, and have banter. So, while shamelessly trying to grow my followers here on YouTube. At the end of the day, without you guys, there's no reason to have this channel. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope to continue to add value, as I said, cheaply to you by sharing anything and everything from my time in undergrad, my time doing work while I was at the college, as well as giving back into the community. As many of you know, I continue to mentor either one-on-one and mass mentoring through sessions like this. I'm helping out with the Level Effect community as a community instructor, where I'm helping to give back inside of their Discord and putting together workshops, as I just did their Continuum Con. For those who weren't aware, Continuum Con was amazing, and I highly recommend you checking it out. We had a ton of valuable information that ran, It is going on still to this day. You do not have to have set it up, but it was for all skill levels. We covered beyond the conference. I gave a talk on the 20th. It's now on their YouTube channel. You can go watch it, including a workshop. They covered anything from LLMs to MITRE, browser extensions. There was even a CTF. And you can still buy your ticket and or just watch the courses. Here's all the different content that was put out there. I purchased a ticket, so I have the ability to go back and watch. My course is here somewhere, right here, where I did a presentation on the human-centric again. Talked about policy writing with a human in mind, how to do application for human-centric security, and then my challenge to you guys was a human-centric tabletop. For those that don't know, tabletops generally are done from a technical point of view. They're generally done to help test your incident response plans as part of your security operations center, making sure that your IT team, your different lines of businesses know their behavior in the event of a ransomware attack, a data exfiltration, data breach, or even a natural disaster, which is where your incident response will also test your BR, your DR, your disaster recovery, as well as your business continuity plan. So feel free to come out, check it out. You can purchase your ticket, but you can also just come out to YouTube and watch some of the sessions as well. They're all out here. So if you come out to Continuum Con, you can see I did a pre-banter there. You can come through and watch all the different videos that took place to get a preview. But if you want access to the actual courses, you'll need to actually purchase a ticket. Hence the name Continuum Con. I'm looking forward to doing more content in the future. So feel free to let me know if there's a place you would like me to banter at. But until then, I will continue to put content out onto my channel. For those who don't know, my channel is pretty regularly updated. I put out daily content, what I call my food for thoughts, and cross-post them across LinkedIn. And then I've been putting up some videos and going live, such as this, to banter from time to time. I appreciate the folks who have continued to give me feedback through DMs and Discords and Slacks and LinkedIn. Ultimately, my goal is to continue just to share knowledge with you guys to help learn about what is going on in the field of cybersecurity. So feel free to let me know where you're at, what you're doing, and find me in many different communities. As I've alluded to, many of you know me from Simply Cyber. I'm in the Level Effect community. I'm part of Wawa Hacking Fest's community as I attended Denver this past year. I'm in Black Hills, the Fish Club, if you're local to North Carolina. It's a prominent organization to get involved in, so feel free to check it out. Yeah, the Cisco CCNA used to be a very good cert. Congratulations on it. It's still very hard. I've actually gone through the material, never took it, but highly understand the importance of it. So you were saying you're currently having a blast doing projects using Azure and Nessus to scan the STIGs. Yes, STIGs are important when you get a minimum security baseline. You want to harden your devices. You want to make sure that you're properly building, maintaining, and protecting. STIGs also align very well with the CIS controls, with NIST. If you've got other controls that you're monitoring, Azure has them in their security center. AWS has them in their security hub. You can use CC or cloud posture management tools to do that. You could do SaaS-based tools with CSPMs or SSPMs, so security posture management. Those are all important, especially when you're trying to harden your environment. But, yep. I mentioned STIG. Let's talk about the STIG. They're DoD enabled. Great question. but you can set them up for many different things. They've got them by OS, by controls, by products. They're great ways to make sure that you're using and implementing. There's tools out there to do it for you. You can also just download them and embed them into your vulnerability tools or your SCAM or SCAP tools as well. So kudos there to Outlaw for doing that, continuing to learn new things. Great question. Happy to keep opening up tabs and discussing things as questions come in. Keep them coming. Also happy to go through some of my information that I put out. So feel free to look at my profile as well as I continue to put out content. I've got my human centric around AI. I talked about ransomware, the backup, the importance of knowing your backup. Some of my posts. Feel free to take a look, understand what's important about them. Did a little 4th of July. As I alluded, I completed this. So topic that I'm more passionate about recently is switching your GRC analysts to GRC engineers. Many people will ask, why do you care about an analyst? Why do you care about an engineer? Analysts generally are task oriented. They're trying to just what I align with more of a business acumen person. They're there to process, enter data, track it. And most of your GRC teams are used to using the most powerful security tool we know, which is called Excel. We need to get away from Excel. We need to get comfortable pushing stuff through code and through automation. Automation is important inside of GRC. I talked about that in the little clip I put. For those who don't know, I've been putting out a Saturday morning podcast on Sipping for Cybersecurity, and this Saturday's was about GRC engineers and why we need them. So I pulled a clip out last night and posted it, why GRC engineers are our future, as we need engineers inside of the GRC platform who are comfortable working inside of the cloud CLI, comfortable working inside of your CI/CD pipelines, your continuous integration, continuous deployment, or delivery, using CloudFormation, Terraform to do their work. We also want them to be comfortable running automation to collect their evidence. So feel free to look into that. For those who are looking, I think we need to make sure and grow with technology. So GRC analysts should be using technology as much as the cloud engineer, as your site reliability engineers. And it should be important that they can collect data programmatically, so you're not having to do screenshots, scrapes, download them, upload them, put them into a portal just to satisfy your SOC 2 Type 2, your ISO, or your HIPAA requirements, as well as your PCI DSS. All these are important. All these are still there. If you worked in small business, mid-sized business, enterprise, large corporate environments, you've dealt with evidence collection as part of your audits. So making sure that you take time to teach and enable your GRC analysts to become GRC engineers. So follow me on LinkedIn. I'll continue to talk about that topic. It's coming in close second to my first topic, which is human-centric. And then we will lead more back into my third, which is my day process of just talking cyber defense. Because we all know technology and cyber threats are evolving. So we must evolve as well. And that's the importance of evolving through automation. There are plenty of platforms out there, low code, no code automation. You can do it with Tines, you can do it with, K8, and a few others, or N7, I think is the other platform I've played with that allows you to do automation. And your question probably to me now is, do I really want my business running security automation? What if they break something? Well, that's where you put guardrails, safety procedures, and other protocols in place to not allow them to touch production systems with an execute or a write, just a read. So when you're generating keys, you're giving them the proper RBAC, role-based access control, via the API or the access token that you've granted, and assign it to the right procedure for them to perform. Also, make sure that they can just read, not update, which is the execute piece, which leads me into another thing that we need to get more comfortable with is using PowerShell, command line tools, Bash inside of Linux to do work, and not just rely on our graphical user interfaces. I don't believe that that's a skill set that is taught enough anymore. Everything is an application or an app. Many of us are very comfortable with apps. We put them on our tablets, we have them on our smartphones, but we don't understand what that app is doing. And that's why in cybersecurity and just in security in general, we got to get back to the basics. What is the tool doing? I've talked about already a couple times on here. We run vulnerability scanners, but what are they doing under the hood? How do they actually perform? Are they just checking implementation groups? Do they have certain logic? Are they just dropping the Windows event or the registry keys to look for information? It's important that we understand how the tools work, not just relying on a tool, because at the end of the day, your tool may lead you astray because it may be misconfigured. Your environment is not set up. So you need to be able to do checks and balances, which leads me into the other topic you've heard for anyone who's listened. AI is here. AI is going to continue to be here. You don't have to worry about AI replacing you. You have to worry about people using AI that will replace you. One of my favorite things to say, and I think others have picked it up as well, is we have to treat AI as an intern. AI will give you an answer, and it will give you a very stern, solid answer, but it could be wrong. It may be wrong because it's just going to produce an answer to the question that you prompted. So you got to make sure that when you ask AI, ChatGPT, BART, Gemini, Claude, Anthropic, Olama, that you already know the answer to the question, or at least 98, 99% of the answer. Why? Because it allows you to make sure that it's not hallucinating, that it's not making up something, and that you can use it. I use AI every day. It's a sounding board. I give it a persona. I ask it questions, mainly because I want to know what I'm not thinking of. And when it gives me something off the wall, I just discard it, or I re-engineer my prompt and ask it again. I add more context. For those who don't know, AI is all about ones and zeros, just like our binary is. It's going to take your sentence, put it back into math, and then determine a temperature before it gives you an answer. It does it real quick. For example, in the English language, we can use plane 3 different ways. It's spelled 2 different ways. You have plane, which is what we fly in. Then you have plane plain, which can mean a place that deer and cattle graze, or it can mean something with no condiments on it. So a plain bagel or a plain piece of chicken. No seasoning, no condiments. Your AI has to take that and determine by reading the full sentence, putting it back into ones and zeros, and determine the usage of the word. This is why, just like when we speak English, it's important to have sentence structure, sentence context. Use your adverbs, your verbs, your nouns correctly, and that applies when you ask AI the same thing. Let's see if I can find something. I've thrown it out there. Let's see if there's a good answer for this. Don't hold me to this one because I haven't looked at this, but let's scroll down and see if it talks about it. Great question there, Outlaw. I think the funny thing is we always told people not to trust what you read on the internet. What did we train AI with? Everything on the internet. That's why early models were bad. They had biases. They had opportunities for you to get information that was not realistic. If you think back to the early 2020s, 2021, 2022, the models were all around white Caucasian males, and everyone else was wrong. And as a white male, I understand how that can be perceived and how that can be negatively impacted. Now you have the same questions it was asked early on when ChatGPT came out, and it is much better at determining the temperature in which you're asking. You're going to get more neutral gender, sex, race than you are in earlier models. Additionally, the larger the model, the better it is. What do you mean? The more data points, the stronger your temperature can be, the stronger your check would be. Less likely, to your point, of having poisoned data. But it's still possible to poison a model. You give it enough fake documents, you can get false images, false facts, and again, AI will make up answers because it doesn't have the persona or the ability to think like we do. Yes, we've moved into agentic AI, giving it agent based, which allows it to make some basic decisions, but it's really not making decisions. It's just having more guardrails to allow it to have conversations, which was the early chatbots. Now you have more agentic AI in what we're doing. So it's important that we continue to think through what that looks like. Go back. But good banter so far. This has been fun to talk through. I've appreciated the people who popped in and popped out. I know it's not the normal feed, but I wanted to come hang out with you guys tonight. Keep it casual. Welcome for those who joined. Again, we've talked a few different things. I've been bouncing around with my viewer count. We've looked at some hacker news. We've gone through job postings on the SANS Internet Storm site. We checked out what Krebs has talked about for the holiday. I went over my Continuum Con talk and the opportunity to do stuff there. I shared more about the Continuum Con. We mentioned STIGs, what the importance of having minimum security baselines. And then we've been walking through just some of the content that's on my LinkedIn. So feel free to throw questions. I'm willing to pull up anything. We're keeping it very casual tonight as we're just on here bantering and having fun. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's your time. I'm on here to hang out. I've got my tea, I've got some water. I've been able to check what's going on, and I'm here to answer questions. Doesn't have to be cyber related. I said cyber banter on the title, but it doesn't have to be cyber banter. It can be anything that you want it to be. I don't know if I'm going to make it to Simply CyberCon yet. I'm waiting to see what my full time employment looks like before I sign up. I did submit a paper or a topic, so if I get selected, I may just attend personally, but I'm waiting to see what my full time job looks like. For those who don't know, for full transparency, on May 1st, I was hit with a reduction in force. So I have been out of work since May 1st, and we're now in July. But the positive thing about that is I had the opportunity to take a family vacation and actually not worry about work. For those who know me and can attest, I am a workaholic. It's easy for me just to slip away and check my email or check Slack or check Teams to see what I'm missing because of FOMO, the fear of missing out. That was easy not to have to do when I'm working. Instead of checking work, I did check in with you guys and some of the communities on Discord. But at the end of the day, it was able to work. Additionally, I had the opportunity to do a missions trip last week in Ecuador. So I spent 8 days serving the Quito, Riobamba, Pachenko people by doing some light construction. We did vacation Bible schools for the local villages as well as a soup kitchen. Additionally, I had the ability to teach a small lesson to a pastors conference that was going on as well at the One Heart facility in Riobamba. So I taught on the components of a healthy church. So talking through the importance of staying in the scriptures and going back. So I got to apply my teaching on this mission trip. I got to serve food to friends or kids and their parents, as well as doing some constructions where we helped pour footers and framing out for a new church that was being built. During that trip, I got to approximately 14,500 feet above sea level. We stayed at just shy of 10,000. So for those in the US, that's higher than most of our mountains. So it was no issues. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But back to your question, I do not know if I will make it to Simply CyberCon this year. It just depends. Any other questions for those who join? I see a few people popping in and out, so feel free to pop a question in. No questions off limits here. I will answer anything. No other questions. I'll just keep rambling. Another thing that I think I would like to talk about for the next little bit is the importance of giving back. I think a lot of us are scared to give back. We feel like we don't know enough. No one wants to hear us. But I think it's important to attend your local meetups. If that's a B-Sides event, an ISSA, ISACA, DEF CON chapter, and just be willing to network first, then work with the presidents and leaders to see if you can either present a lightning talk, a regular talk, do a workshop, host a birds of a feather event where you have a topic, table topic time, just to learn and give back. As many of you know, the easiest way to learn is to teach. It's important that you can simplify very complex topics into bite sized information, taking information and distilling it in a way that it's easy to understand. From a cyber point of view, every one of us needs to be bilingual. We have to speak technology as well as business. For example, if you get in the elevator with a C-level and they ask you why or what you do, you don't want to give them a technical information. So, for example, if you're a firewall engineer, instead of saying you put in firewall rules, IP tables, access controls, port protocol blocks, you want to say that you harden the environment to help ensure that the organization doesn't lose money and add value to the organization. You're using business terms to describe your role versus technical terms to ensure that you do that. Additionally, you need to make sure that when you are talking, that you use the lexicon in which they understand. So it starts by coming through a common language. Learn what they use, what acronyms they are comfortable with, what action verbs or adjectives are off limits. Talking with legal folks, you don't want to say the word breach. Probably don't want to say the word breach anyways. Certain acronyms mean certain things. So make sure that you don't go to certain acronyms unless you mean it. And that's why common language and lexicons are important. Additionally, we have to break the curse of knowledge. You and I have been doing things for a long time. We don't remember how to be a novice. We don't know how to forget how to tie our shoes. If I say loop, swoop, and pull, you generally understand I'm asking you to tie your shoe. But if I say that to a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old, they may not know what I'm talking about. Or if I say BEC, to you, that means business email compromise. Might mean something else to someone else. If I say the box, I may be talking about a laptop or a server. They don't know what that is. Say endpoint. They may not even know what endpoint means. So you need to say your laptop, your cell phone, your tablet. Use terms that they're comfortable with. Another question here, it says, you have a desire to help small businesses that believe they can't afford or don't need security programs. The best way to do that is just to tell people. So when you go to the dentist office, tell them what you do and offer to help them. When you go into the laundromat, explain basic cyber hygiene to them. Give them tips and tricks. Offer your services. Yes, I said laundromat. You may not go to the laundromat. When you go to the grocery store, when you go to the deli, when you go to the bank, wherever you go, be willing to brand yourself and talk about what you care about. I rode an Uber recently. The Uber driver was a dental hygienist. So we were able to talk about the importance of flossing and brushing your teeth as preventative care. I was able to flip it to why we use MFA, why we don't reuse passwords, and apply it to the same way as flossing. The joke is the dentist asks you, do you floss every day? And you reply back to your dentist, do you have a unique password for every one of your accounts? Let that sit for a moment. None of us probably floss every day. Most of us probably don't have a unique password for every single one of our accounts. Even though we know better. We know we're supposed to floss. We know we're supposed to use unique passwords. But we likely don't. So this is important to talk about. For small businesses, just go in and tell them about basic hygiene of email security, setting up SPF, DKIM, DMARC. If they're a SaaS email provider, it's probably there. Talk about multi-factor, having an authenticator, a Duo, or something else. Talk about the importance of patching, installing updates, rebooting to ensure that your systems are hardened and up to date. Simple things go a long way for small businesses. Share tips and tricks of how not to fall prey to lookalike domains or drive-by attacks. Talk to them about social engineering. We all know it's easy to social engineer. very easy from your social media platforms, asking quizzes about your information is likely the secret questions, which is important to not answer secret questions honestly. So, Felicia, you're saying I should not say my first car is a Ford or a Buick or a Chevy. No, you answer it with something off the wall. And then you put it in your password manager or you write it down and you know the answer. If you do need to have a shared password, let's say it's your Netflix account and you need more than one person to log in, you can set up a unique phrase plus Netflix. So the service name, you add it to the end. Um, Another good friend of mine, and I agree with him on this, is if you don't trust your vault of your password and you think it can be leaked, you can set a prefix or a suffix to all of your passwords. So, for example, every password in your password vault is 2/3 complete. So, when you autofill, you'll type in 3 to 5 characters at the beginning, then autofill, or you'll autofill and then enter 3 to 5 characters at the end. Think of that as your pass key, your one time. It's not a one time code, but your unique key that you carry. So, for example, in your password vault, you put the sky is blue for your password. Add spaces because most OSs and apps will accept the space. But instead of just pressing enter and logging in, you add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You added 8 characters at the end of it. That's not in your password vault, but you just added 8 more characters to your password, and that's your new thing. Or you add the word blue, or red, or orange, or cat, or dog. Any delimitar at the end or beginning to strengthen your passwords. That way, if your password vault gets dumped and decrypted, they still don't have your password. They have 2/3 of your password, 5/6 of your password, whatever you want to call it, but instead of having your full password. That's a trick you can do too. You can also do, as I said before, 12 characters plus the service name or underbar service name to make it unique. Because most of the time, passwords are not linked in plain text, they're leaked as a hash. And most of the hashes should be salted. That means they already have an additional character to make sure that if you and I have the same password, let's just say we work at the same company, we use the company name plus the year as our password. If it's hashed, you would not know you and I have the same because the hash is in there to harden it to make sure that you don't see the same 2 hashes, knowing that both of us have the same password. All of these are important, and these are things you can do with your small businesses. If they don't want to pay for an enterprise password manager, you can do something like that. It's okay to write down passwords and store them securely. At home, my parents have a password book. It's in their fire safe. Yes, I just told you that where all their passwords are, but that means you have to physically get into their house to get to their password, and you have to get into their fire safe, which means you have to know where it is. Then you have to get into their vault, which is key locked or passcoded or both, to get into their passwords. But I told them that's important, so if something happens. For those that don't know, one of my parents had a major medical issue in May. They were bedridden in a rehab facility, meaning the other parent needed to pick up and do what that parent was doing. Because of this password being written down, they were able to log into their accounts. The gotcha is they didn't have MFA on, so they were still able to get in. But since then, we've added MFA to some of their accounts, and we've added other hardening techniques. So it's important to educate your friends, your family, and to the question in there, small businesses on easy ways to enable and to ensure that organizations as well as people are doing the best they can. Another thing, and I'll get off the screen and go back to my channel for a second. Nope, not that one here. Go to my channel. Is we need to make sure that we talk to people about why security is important. I don't remember which talk it is, and I'm drawing a blank here, but I talk about it a lot, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit again. Each and every one of us is part of security. Each and every one of us may not have security in our title, but we still protect our organizations because of what we do. So feel free to make sure that you talk about the security. I've given this example, so for those who hear it, I apologize. But for those who haven't, think about it. We just went through a major holiday here in the US called the 4th of July. So while I'm outside grilling, I hand my phone to my intern, aka my 8-year-old daughter. My 8-year-old daughter is surfing, playing Roblox, playing something. Or even better, she's on FaceTime with her grandparents. During that FaceTime or that Roblox game, there's a notification that comes in. Instead of her swiping it away, she clicks yes. What might have just happened, could have just happened, is I had a shared password or had a password that was just leaked in a data breach. The adversary knew my email, put in that password that they were able to crack, and the push notification came to my phone. Yes, I'm using push notifications for some app. So instead of swiping that notification away, my intern pressed OK. Well, I'm out there grilling. I have no idea that push notification came in on my phone, other than the fact that if I'm wearing my smartwatch, I may see it. And now my intern, aka daughter, just gave access to my account, whatever account it was, for unferreted access for, let's just say, 1, 3, 4 hours. Lucky for me, and maybe others, I have notifications for other things. So let's just say they got into my bank or my credit card and they started spending. I do have notifications turned on for spending. I do have thresholds to stop certain things. So I'm going to start getting email alerts or text messages. And at that point, hopefully, my daughter will bring me my phone. Hey, Dad, you're starting to get a lot of notifications. Is this okay? And I can take action. But reverse the play. It was the grandparent who starts to get these push notifications. They try to swipe it away as they're talking to my daughter. They may not have email notifications, tech notifications, everything else turned on. They may not know their account is compromised for days or weeks or even a month. Because if you look in years past, we'll pick on or look at the Verizon data breach report. It used to take 400 plus days for organizations to realize they were compromised. Then it got down to hundreds. I think in the last year, it's at like 10 to 15. That's because our cyber defense tools are better. It's also because we have disruption, extortion, and ransomware. But at the end of the day, we're getting better at defending. But we're not always having the same personally. We're still not applying some of the same things at home. So it's important that we put preventative and detective controls at home. That's by not turning on certain settings, disable certain settings, changing default passwords on your Internet of Things. So your smart thermostat, your smart refrigerator, even your smart toilet, if for those who've purchased one, when you connect them to your home network. Even better, smart meters have come into play. A lot of utilities are using smart meters. They should be using 5G or LTE to connect, but they may ask to join your home network. I'm not letting them join my home network because they don't need to be able to scan my home network and get into my stuff. That's a privacy concern. I also don't want them to get compromised and have access to my home network either. So I've been rambling, sharing. I see the unknowing insider threat. Yes, I can be an insider too. I'm a gruntle person most of the time, but I'm emotional. I'm going to make decisions because I'm happy, sad, or indifferent, just like your employees do. That's why I call them my peers. My peer fell for this. My peer was social engineered. My peer, aka my executive, made the routing change or inadvertently approved a wire transfer because they thought it was coming from one of their peers, another C-level, or the controller, or the accounts payable person, trusted instead of verifying. I'm going to pause for a second, see if there's any other questions, and answer a text message that has come on. How would you apply asset tracking at home? Great question. So there's multiple ways. When you buy something, put it into a spreadsheet, take pictures, or both, and then upload them into a repo that you can access. So if something ever happens, you can get to it. So I most of the time I advise someone to put it in like a Google Sheets, put it behind your login, take pictures, put it on a thumb drive, put it in your Firebox. But at the end of the time, you want to still have a place you can reference when recalls happen. If in the event of theft, fire, destruction, you have the ability to do it. Additionally, when you open up your home access point or router, name your devices. Say it's kid's tablet, and that way you have the MAC address that's tied to it inside your router, and export the config and save that config somewhere else. That way you have the MAC. Yes, Macs can be spoof, but at least you know this MAC is tied to your kid's tablet, your kid's laptop, your partner's phone, and you know that from, so if something happens. Turn on the Find Me or Discover devices, so if you lose your earpods, your phone, you can track it as well in case it was left in your car and it was stolen, or someone burglarizes your house and steal it. You have the ability to at least track where it is. Again, you'll have the MAC address of the device as well. Great question. Something I probably need to update again, as not extracted my configs of my devices in a while in case I needed to rebuild them. So I will put that on my to-do list. Because most homes now are small businesses. We have 20 plus connected devices in our home. And before you say that's too many, you probably have more. You may have less if it's just you or just you and a roommate. But if you have a spouse, one or two kids, you're likely having 2 to 3 devices per person, plus your home equipment. So you have streaming devices, you have smart TVs, smart thermostats, more IoT devices are coming into your home. And I recommend putting all of those smart IoT devices on its own access point away from everything else. If you work from home, considering setting up virtual LANs and putting your work stuff on its own VLAN so that you don't have to worry about contamination of what your kids are doing. Set up quality of service as well to make sure that your home network is given priority, or your work, if you work from home, your working devices have bandwidth priority over your kid's Xbox, PlayStation, Switch as well. Any other questions? Got another text message, so I'm going to answer it. You're welcome, Outlaw. Have a good one. What would you consider need to be placed on IoT home? What would you consider need to be placed? So the reason I recommended putting IoTs on its separate network is just to keep it away from your other devices. So, for example, most IoT devices are fairly dumb. They're not patched. They're likely not getting firmware updates, and if they are, they're getting them sporadically. So it's important just to segment them. Similar to Bluetooth. Bluetooth can't be up. So it's important to upgrade devices when you have. Funny story, probably wouldn't work for you, but Depending on how old your vehicle is, your Bluetooth in your car is vulnerable. So you can go to your partner or your spouse and say, hey, Felita said I need to upgrade my Mercedes to a 2021 because I need to get to the latest Bluetooth. And that's when they added the new Bluetooth. So that's more secure. We need to go buy a new Mercedes. You can tell your partner that. But that's the risk acceptance we do by using older technology inside of our cars. And the same as with our IoT devices. That's why some of your IoT devices, if you purchased in the late 2000s, late 2010s, early 2020s, probably don't work anymore. Because if you've upgraded your home network, you're running Wi-Fi 6, it's probably not backwards compatible to some of your old devices who have legacy wireless, legacy network interface cards in them, and they can no longer connect. So when in doubt, hardwire if you have an RJ45 connection, aka Ethernet port, to get around the Bluetooth issues. I recently helped a student at sans.edu on that around IoT devices. Just the wireless sniffing capabilities. The paper should be published here soon, I believe. On someone could put a sniffer outside your house and know that you're home just by the frequency increase of you walking in and out of your room and your wireless camera coming on or hearing your voice. So just doing frequency analysis, they can determine the movement in your house, how much movement's in your house, and if you're home or not. Think about that. That's why keep them on a separate network, making it password protected, hardening it, changing your broadcast to keep your neighbors and someone from war dialing in front of your house. But great question. Any other questions? That's a great question so far. You're welcome. Sharon here. I talked about earlier, so I'll read it again before I sign off here in the next little bit. I've been putting out most of the time, pretty closely, Saturday morning podcast called A Sip of Cybersecurity. The last one I just did was around GRC must be GRC engineers. I talked about this earlier in the cast, so I'm just going to talk about it again. It's important to go through that. I've talked about numerous other ones. So we talked about why it's important to have out-of-band communications for your IR. I've talked about the importance of data resilience. I have many others out here on just things to go through, what you can do and how you can do it. I think I saw another question come in, so I will go back to my channel, keep it on there, my channel, and answer the next question. Do I have any recommendations for home incident response? Wipe and reload. Hence the reason I said when you asked the asset tracking question, back up your configs so that you can wipe and reload. So do the 3-2-1, have 3 copies of your data and 2 different mediums and one of them not being connected. So that means if you have a Mac, use Time Machine, but also put it on an external hard drive, put it in your Firebox. Put a copy in the cloud. So if you have to rebuild, you have it. Keeping that asset list of all your software, all your license keys, so if you need to reinstall. Taking snapshots of what you got so that you can reinstall it. And then if you're willing, you can put sinkholing technologies with a Raspberry Pi or others on a device inside of your network. You can put a basic firewall in place to help drop traffic as well and understand. Anything specific for detection and analysis? So logging, you can set up your own log server. You can put an Elastic, Elk, Stack, and log what's going on in your environment. You can put that in the cloud, or you can put that on an old piece of hardware and have open up ports and send everything to it. You have the ability to, again, put a small firewall in place, put a SIM. You can run, as I said, Elk, Stack, Kibana. I think there's a few others out there that you can do as well. I have not rebuilt my environment in a while. When we put my kids into place, when we started homeschooling, a lot of my controls were breaking some of their virtual classes they were taking. So I need to re-architect my network so that when I'm traveling or not home or in meetings, I'm not having to play IT staff or IT security and open up websites, ports, protocols so that they can work. So the detection piece got a little rough in my home environment. So now they're just on their own access point. But great question. The other thing too is you can monitor the IO of your devices to determine what's going on. So see if they're over chatty. I will tell you your streaming devices right now talk out a lot. So if you have an Apple TV or a Roku, you'd be surprised at the amount of traffic that comes off of them. So you may not want to lock them, depending on your storage. Any other questions or comments? I will stick on for another 5 or 6 minutes here, probably. That'll give me 90 minutes of presentation before I break. No other questions. I will end with a small challenge for you as we are going into Monday tomorrow. Think about how you, no matter if you work in IT or if not. So here's a question. What do I do outside of cyber? So I have 2 interns. As I alluded, there's my kids. They're 8 and 10. My 10-year-old's very big on Pokemon Go. So I've been doing that with him. We have a local greenway that I walk, run, jog, bike with my daughter on, as well as play Pokemon Go on. Occasionally, I'll pick up a disc and go play disc golf. I enjoy disc golf as well. And then some household projects. Since I've had a reduction in force, I've been able to work on a few home projects and see what I can get done. So not very mechanically inclined, but I periodically will try things. So I'm happy to give it a shot. And my parents have a small farm, so I periodically go up there and help with different activities from dog breeding. He has goats, bees, gardening. He's had a pig in the past. I was just up there yesterday helping mow off some of his large grass area behind his house since he sits on about a 5-acre lot. So I did some of that as well yesterday. So try to be a good son, good father, good husband, and do activities. But in the day, this is also fun for me. It's just to share my knowledge and give back. The biggest thing I always tell people to that part is get up. What COVID taught me is I could take meetings outside. So I would sit outside, get fresh air. I would purposely use my lunch to go walk 2 to 3 miles over lunch each and every day. And then I would walk in the evenings. During COVID, I was walking anywhere between 10 and 20 miles a day just to get fresh air. It's also better on the hips than sitting in this desk chair. Well, everyone, we're coming up on an hour and a half, which is what I allotted myself to do here. I appreciate those who swung by. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, leave comments, check out my daily food for thoughts. I will continue to publish them every morning. Follow me on LinkedIn as well. I post other articles and talk about many different things that's going on. Uh, Feel free to connect with me there to say how you found me, share my stream. And as always, stay safe and stay secure, everyone. And until next time, take care.